anyone that could have wanted to switch to X could have switched to X. There was no reason to end the stream, but rant over. I view this. I was debating back and forth. This is cross country is not track. Musau's the 12:59 guy, but he's never been top 5 in this race. He's never contended for the win. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I think Habtom Samuel deserves to be the champion. To get second with one shoe is remarkable. Like, he would have beaten Graham Blanks, who was an Olympic I think there's a very good chance he would have beaten Graham Blanks last year if he doesn't lose that shoe, and he's an Olympic finalist in the 5,000. So I think Samuel's the favorite, and I'm extremely excited about Rocky Hansen. I just think that we've never seen the guy. He's the youngest American to ever break 13:10, and he's been blowing away the competition. He's been blowing away Gary Martin. He's been blowing away these guys by 20 seconds. And if you actually compare to like how close they are to world level, you know, I think Rocky Hansen, you know, I mean, like, it's weird. Like Jane Hedengren, you know, when I was talking to her dad, his analysis of his own daughter's fitness and Jane's own analysis of his fitness is very similar actually to John Kellogg's, which we were talking about the other day. But I forgot to mention this. You know, we're trying to get her to go to World Cross, but it sounds like they're just going to do the track thing. But apparently, Jane said to Dad, "Hey, you know, I think I can go run 14:30," and that's what I think. I think she's going to be in low 14:30 shape. So we know that Jill G. Taylor said she's certainly faster than the 14:48 that she's ever coached. So that's interesting. But
wait, he said 14:30 or 14:30s, like 14:30.30.
Sounded like she was aiming for 14:30, which is what I thought.
Wow, someone with a 14:25 personal best. I'm starting to get worried here. I don't know if I can have a 19-year-old college girl with a faster personal best than me. That would be quite scary for me.
Yeah, but I also think that let's talk a little bit about the conditions. We got here yesterday. We're right at the finish line. It's a beautiful course. I love it. It's a 3K loop and a 2K loop. The women run 2 3Ks. The men go 3K, 2K, 3K, 2K, and when you start right here, you know, you're going to go about 400 meters, then there's a turn to the left. And that's really the only straightaway. Everything is sort of turning left or turning right. Slight rolling hills. It's not nearly as hilly as Terre Haute, but I hate hills myself. I didn't really notice the hills. I mean, there's nothing really that's totally flat, but if it was yesterday before the rain, it would be an extremely fast course, I would think.
Yeah, there's no serious hill. Like Madison has bigger hills than this. Terre Haute has bigger hills. There's really, like, the only kind of climb is when the course forks, when you choose between either doing the 2K or the 3K loop. When you go to the outside and do the 3K, you got to climb for a little bit, but it's not like Madison. It's certainly not like OK State.
And I'm kind of stunned how wet the course is, because it's like a golf course. It's kind of soggy because
it was rained overnight quite a lot. That's why it's wet, Robert, just because we didn't see the rain.
It might rain a little bit at 6, but I think that's done. So it's going to probably be drier tomorrow. But I was kind of surprised, like, if the rain, I do think that would probably, I mean, the wet course, I think that benefits Musau versus, I'm not sure about Rocky Hansen, what type of runner he is. But if you're talking Musau versus
Samuel,
I think it benefits Samuel because it makes the race longer. It's more of a 10K, grind it out. Now, Jeremy Sudbury had some interesting comments. At first I thought he was joking, but I don't think he is.
No, I think he was joking. I mean, you can say what he said, but
so the people asked him about the course, and he said, I couldn't tell if he was being sarcastic or not, but he said that
essentially, when I talked to him earlier this week, he said, we're going to try and make this a full 10K. Like, we let the race come down to the last 3K at Big 12s, and Oklahoma State kicked our ass, essentially. So we need to, it's a drone ahead of us, making quite a bit of noise, but they need to make it into a real 10K pace because they train for the 10K distance. And if you look historically, Iowa State under Sudbury has always run a lot better at NCAAs than they do in the regular season. They peak very well for that meet, and that's because they train for 10K specifically. So it's like, yeah, we want to make this into a 10K. We want to go pretty hard. And then someone asked him about that today, and they were saying, well, the course is muddy. Is that going to change things? He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to have to rethink the whole game plan. He kind of came across as he was joking. That's what I think.
I thought he was being serious, which I thought was weird. He said, we had a game plan, and all's changed. So that's what he said. So I couldn't tell if he's being
But then at the end of that, he said,
but he did say
we want to make this an honest race.
Well, he still wants to make an honest race, but He also said this. I think this levels the playing field. I don't know if we have a ton of muddies on the roster. Those are factual statements of what he said. So I was surprised because I think if you've got, well, I think he wants a fast race. So a fast race, you know, in the African sense of like just hammered like a 10K. I don't know. Like if I was him, I would think that the mud, if you're more a 10K oriented team, a strength oriented team, it may not be as fast, but I still think that benefits you. I was surprised that he said that. And Dave Smith said his comments on the course were interesting to me. He's like, I used to, you know, kind of be like that and worry about it and freak out and who's going to do this. Dave's just like, it's a random. He views it as a randomizer. I always say, what do our sport need? We need more random events. We need more turnovers. Dave said you can analyze it, you can guess, you can think about it. Some people will run better. Some people will run worse. Now, I don't know. I do think some people, the same people, are going to run better or worse if they consistently had a wet course. But I think it's going to be drier in the morning. I don't think it's going to be that big of a problem.
No, I think a couple things. I feel like we have this conversation once every other year at NCAA Cross Country. I've been to a lot of these, and a lot of times the conditions are pretty similar to what we see now. Is, oh, there's going to be mud, or it's going to be a little wet, or that sort of thing. And we wonder how it will affect the course. A few times where I've actually remembered things having an impact was 2019. NAU was heavily favored. They're going for a fourth straight, and it was very wet and muddy in Terre Haute. They got out slowly. They were buried, and basically it was over. BYU got out pretty aggressively. They found it hard to move up, NAU did, and that had a big impact on the race. So
why would it be hard to move up? That doesn't make any sense.
It's just hard to get by people. I don't know. I mean, it does make a little bit sense. If your footing's not great, if it's, you know, kind of you want to go outside, you need to leave your line to pass people. Might be possible. But then the other thing was last year in Madison, it had snowed the day before or 2 days before. There's some snow on the course, and there was still some mud on the course last year. If you remember, Iowa State had a guy fall. Samuel lost his shoe. Like, it did have an impact on the race. And one of the things I noticed was, I think a lot of the Kenyan athletes underperformed because there was a lot of talk, not to the degree we've had it this year, but there was still talk of a lot more Kenyans in the NCAA than in the previous few years. Some Kenyans are not in traditional schools who now are going after some Kenyan athletes. And I was thinking, wow, the top 20, top 10 is going to be dominated by Kenyans this year. And it really wasn't. I think several of them, Kipchoge notably, but I think there were a few others, just didn't run quite as well. It was cold as well. I don't think it's going to be too cold tomorrow, so maybe that was part of it. But I do think if it's really cold and muddy, sometimes that'll take a couple of, some of the Kenyans who are in their first year in the NCAA who haven't really trained through a winter here yet, maybe it affects them. So obviously we've seen, Edwin Kurgat won NCAAs in 2019. He was Kenyan. He handled it just fine.
I mean, they have a muddy season in Kenya. I don't know why mud would impact Kenya. And it's going to be, 10 o'clock the race starts?
But I think it's
48
cold
degrees
as well, though.
It's going to be 48, so it's not exactly cold.
The cold last year, I think, hurt them a bit.
All right, let's get to the controversial comments. We had two men's coaches up there. They both are going to run 5 foreigners out of the 7 tomorrow. Jeremy Sudbury of Iowa State, Dave Smith of Oklahoma State. Last night, this has been super hot in Let's Run. Ed Eyestone throws serious shade at Sudbury, Gosselin, and Smith for international recruiting. It's an article from the Deseret News, which is sort of the Utah newspaper. Ed Eyestone, the BYU coach, said, some coaches have decided to take a shortcut by taking foreign talent. Many are older and developed. I've always felt I'd be embarrassed to have 7 foreigners on the team. The NCAA is definitely the way we develop talent in this country. I asked Dave Smith and Sudbury both about this quote. They both took the high road. Dave Smith said, I don't understand why. Basically said, if the rules are something and you're playing within the rules, I don't have a problem with what anyone's doing. And he's like, if you've got a problem with that, don't bitch about it. Change the rules. Otherwise, shut up and coach your team. So that was the harshest comments that he had. So don't bitch, don't complain, change the rules, or quote, otherwise shut up and coach your team. But he didn't say it in a mean way. And then he went on a very interesting comment, and he's like, the thing I don't like about this is, he said Brian and
Alex
Mayer. He's like, I don't think of Alex and foreign and native, and he's like, we as a society, why are we always dividing people? Alex and Brian. He's like, I think of them as their friends, their teammates. They're in Stillwater. They're chasing a common goal. And the idea that we're dividing people is the part of the problem of society, trying to divide people. It's not Brian Massau, foreigner, or Alex Mayer, American. It's just Alex and Brian. I thought that was a wonderful comment. you know, if you're going to defend the foreign things. Sudbury kind of took the high road and said as well, and it was said that, you know, everyone has the opportunity to build the. Well, I mean, I guess Dave had some critical comments. Sudbury said everyone has the opportunity to build a team they want, and you know, you got to know where your strengths are and know what your institution's strengths are. And then he cited Jovis Ondieki, the first man to break 27 minutes. He was an Iowa State runner back in the day. He's like, I still get WhatsApp messages from him. He's proud of Iowa State, and that's our strength. You know, they're an agricultural school. They have a great history with foreigners in the past, and you know that was kind of interesting there. I do think it was fascinating though, because he said, I mean, this is shocking to me. Some coaches, people who are in the college coaching, I'm shocked this. He's like, I talked to my compliance officer. The compliance officer is the person who's in charge of making sure people are eligible, they have the right transcripts every day. And after we got second last year, I wrote them a note and said, there's no way we get second without you. And when I was coaching, I was told by a coach one time, and they said, look, there's two types of compliance officers. One that tells you, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. And one that's helping you out and telling you everything you can get away with within the rules. So he was, you know, because these transcripts are a big thing. And that's an interesting story. The other story we've heard here is today, we actually heard a lot of stuff not related to this meet, but just college coaching and the college scene and the pro scene. You're talking to a lot of people, boots on the ground, is the 142 Kenyan that went to Oregon last year. The guy had already run 142 before he set foot in Oregon. Supposedly got over $100,000 in NIL to go there. He's gone.
His name's Koitatoi Kadali. He was an Olympian in 2024, ran last year, yeah, made it to NCAAs, but didn't run great.
And so he's gone. And people, I'm like, well, why would he leave? He's making all that money. One coach is like, well, I heard he didn't like it. Another coach, this is totally unconfirmed, said, I heard.
Well, wait, I should do some digging into this.
I can say it if I want. This is the hot rumor. I can say it.
Should, but.
Well, that's the difference between you. You're a journalist. I'm a fan. What I say about the Supporters Club podcast, this is the type of thing, if you were here in the bar with me tonight, by the way, we're going to be at which place, John?
Log Boat Brewing.
Log Brewing,
8 p.m. Central.
Log Boat Brewing, 8 p.m. One guy said, I heard, this doesn't make sense to me because I don't think it'd be possible. He said, I heard he didn't have a high school transcript, and eventually they just said he was ineligible. So that's what I heard. Don't know if it's true. We'll look into it.
Okay.
But I thought it was fascinating because it is hard to get some of these guys eligible. A lot of the Kenyans used to go to junior college and then go to college because then they could get the grades and stuff like that. With COVID and stuff like that, a lot of schools got rid of the testing, so it was easier to go straight to college. Well, so it's just an interesting thing to mention.
I know why Jeremy Sudbury wants to give that compliance department assist for last year, because they brought in Joash Ruto in like September, and they still register. Like normally when you're coming in like middle of September, you're not going to be eligible to compete in cross country that year because the academic term's already started, the season's already started. They essentially found like a course that hadn't started until midway through the semester, got him registered in that, got him eligible. He was running and he helped them and he scored for them, I believe, at NCAA. So that's probably why he was giving the shout out to them last year. And of course, now he's one of their key runners. But the Ice Stone comments, I want to go back to them because they're very interesting. And this article drops, 2 days before NCAAs. It was the talk of the town at the course today. And I've talked to a few coaches about it. And the sentiments are essentially it's common sentiment. This isn't the entire NCAA, but this is from a few people we've talked to last night and today, is most coaches don't really have an issue with international athletes competing in the NCAA because a ton of teams have them. And even the ones who rely more on Americans, I think they just say, look, it's okay, but as long as they're 19, 20, 21, 22, they just want a sort of level playing field in terms of the ages. What they're not huge fans of is bringing over athletes who have been competing at a high level for a few years, who have been, they're 25 or 26, have maybe run some European races on the roads or something like that. They just don't view that as really fair because at that point, you're not bringing in a young developing athlete. You're already bringing in someone who's quite established and they're going up against an 18 or 19-year-old Americans. They don't really view that as fair, and I can kind of understand where they're coming from.
But it's ironic because, the story that I heard was, the BYU men thrive on men that serve 2-year Mormon missions. So they're 6, 7, sometimes 8 years out of high school. So they're benefiting from the age thing. And the story I heard was Charles Hicks was talking to Jerry Schumacher about making his marathon debut, and Jerry's like, you used to be able to marathon, and he's like, I got plenty of time. I'm still young. And he's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I'm younger right now. Charles Hicks has been a pro for a year. He's like, I'm younger right now than when Connor Mance was when he won his first NCAA cross country title. So Charles Hicks right now, who's already run a pro marathon, is younger than Connor Mance was when he won an NCAA title. So that's the thing. And it was interesting to me when I also heard a rumor that Diljit Taylor would be happy to have a foreigner.
Speaking of the devil,
is maybe looking to get one. And when they were commenting about those foreign comments, like I saw her nodding her head with the things about like, why do we have the hate? Why are we dividing the people? So there's Diljit in the background
doing some last minute scouting on the course.
No, making sure I'm not saying anything too bad.
I did want to actually go back to those comments about the BYU athletes, because if you look at their roster last year, right, they won the NCAA title on the men's team, and 3 of their top 4, Casey, he was the number 1 guy, Casey Klinger, 26 years old, 8th year senior. Second runner, Creed Thompson, 21 years old, 4th year senior. Third runner, Joey Noakes, don't know what age he was, but he was a 6th year senior. And then number 4 guy, Lucas Bonds, 25 years old, 7th year senior. So they had a couple of guys who were older. And no, I'm saying they had 3 of the top 4 were older than normal. And that is within the rules, because if you go on a mission, your eligibility clock doesn't start, so it gets paused. And then they come back. And look, what I'm saying here is, I don't think it's this massive advantage that people think it is. That,
of course,
oh my God, they've been like, these guys aren't training when they're on their missions. And they come back, most of them redshirt because it takes them a year to get back in shape from doing essentially nothing for 2 years. Like, they have a guy out there right now, Danny Simmons, who is one of the top high school athletes, and he's going to come back. Who
cares? He won't do anything as a freshman or sophomore, but most freshmen and sophomore aren't leading you in cross country anyway.
Right. So what I would say is, I think you do maybe get a slight advantage at the back end when they're 25.
It's a huge advantage. It's not a slight advantage. Okay. It's huge.
That's the debate here.
When I was coaching at Cornell and Alex Gibby was at William Mary, he admitted to me, he's like, one of the biggest things the Ivy Leagues don't get is you don't get the 5th year. So the 5th year, the 6th year, the 7th year, the 8th year is huge. Okay, all right, but let's move on to a new topic.
Well, all right.
Let me jump in. I can mute them. People are wondering if I'm muted, and apparently we're like the Beatles. Robert is John Lennon. John is Ringo, and I'm Paul. I may be old, but I'm not even old enough to know if that's a compliment or what. But so let me know. But okay, Robert. One more thing. Robert said, "Oh, these comments by I think Dave Smith were said very nicely." What do you mean? They were like pretty. I felt like the comment like. Just because he wasn't yelling at somebody and saying them, like I'm really kind of confused what you were saying by there. They seem pretty harsh. I kind of like him standing up for himself, but clarify that a bit.
That's a good point. When I read the quotes, what I wrote down about what he said, turn on the lights. It is getting dark. Oh, I look good with the lights.
All right. Not this here.
It is sunset at 4:48, right? Just set 1 minute ago. I thought they might really go out, say something shocking. When I was reading the quotes, it was more shocking to me than the tone that he said them. And I guess we can download the whole video and put it up on YouTube so you can see the way it was said. But yeah, he should defend himself. Like, those are the rules. Like, and I was talking to one SEC coach at the coaches meeting last night. It's like, well, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to be fired? Like, I'm supposed to get the team to NCAAs. I have no other shot of getting the team to NCAAs without going foreign. So now, the other big controversy going on this year is, well, coming in before Ed Eystone blew it up with his comments, was the Iowa State suspensions. A number of runners from Iowa State have been suspended in the middle of the season. The rumor on the message board is that it was for some sort of PED violation or potential PED violation. And, we've been asking Coach Sudbury about this, and he told John earlier in the week, I may have an update for you on Friday. John, as a professional journalist, did ask about that. And I meant to go, I'm going to go up to Jerry Dermini tomorrow. I think he's handled this very, very well. He doesn't hang up on John. Some people ignore John, and he's been very professional. And he said, like, look, I've talked to my people yet again. I'm supposed to say, that he said it's very hard. It's the first time I ever had to deal with anything like this. Team members are still suspended for violation of team rules. That's all I can say. I hope to have more for you in the future. So he is hoping to provide us an update in the future. Well, he's not running away from it. He's being professional and whatever. And there's 2 ways to view this. And it's like the doping in Kenya. Like, you can say, oh, they got doping, but you can also say, like, well, maybe this guy runs a clean program. He finds some guy who's trying to move up from the JV to the varsity. He's got doping products, and he kicks him off the team with anyone else who's associated with him. So you can say that's a positive. Like, as long as, you can't. if you live in an apartment building and somebody on the third floor is dealing drugs, that doesn't mean that you are if you live on the first floor.
Right. And again, we don't know the details of the situation. And also, like, a college coach does not have eyes on his team 24 hours a day. He sees them 2 hours a day on a workout day. Some days you might not see them at all, if it's an easy run. So anyway, the athletes have been suspended indefinitely. So at some point, you would think there will be some sort of further resolution where they're either the athletes transfer or they leave the school or they're permanently suspended, whatever. And at that point, maybe we get some more details on the situation. But he's following the direction of the athletic department, and that is just say that there have been suspensions for violations of team rules, and it's not one of the, it's not their top group. It's not the guys that they thought coming in would be scoring for them. They've essentially got that sixth guy, Devin Kipiego, is a good runner, but the top 5 guys, and he's going to be running. The top 5 guys, they're basically going to sink and swim tomorrow on how they run.
One interesting thing, I'm just going through some of my notes here that I took for myself, is if John gave the edge to NC State. If it's a blowout, it could be because of the weather. I wonder, like we were talking about Kenya's not being well in the mud and the cold mud and whatever. Like when I think of Provo, U2, I don't think of it as muddy. Maybe I've never really actually been there. I went to Salt Lake one time way back in the day. But the NC Grace Hartman is like, look, at NC State, we run in every condition, and we have fun and we embrace it.
Well, it's Raleigh, North Carolina. It's not exactly snowing down there.
Well, I know, but she specifically said like how they have fun in the rain sometimes, and she's like, I think I've only run on a treadmill one time my entire college career. So just something to put out there. If NC State crushes it, that'll be interesting. All right, other things that we've learned. We did talk to Alex Gibby, the Harvard coach. He says that Graham Blanks is in good shape right now. He's a little tired. He's been training in Boston, living in Gibby's garage apartment. So he's like, yeah, he spends a month or 2 with me. Then he's going to go back to Georgia. So Blanks is excited for World Cross, training for it. And things are going well. I forgot what workout he said he did. And then
it was around the Chestnut Hill Reservoir, right by my apartment. So it went well. I don't remember what it was, but it was pretty fast and intense and not a lot of rest. So
other news: Maya Ramsden has left Dathan Ritzenheim, and apparently will be coached by Coach Gibby soon in the future. So that'll be coming out in 2026. She had great success.
2-time NCAA champion in the 1500, NCAA mile champion, Olympian for New Zealand.
Yep, and got hurt this year and didn't even make Worlds. So, could she? I mean, we've seen what Jessica Hull's done.
That's what I think. Another anti-podium.
And the Puma Elite girl that got
Dorcas Ewoy, wasn't quite as she wasn't as good in college as Maya Ramsden was. Something I learned, actually, I was talking to someone, a source, I don't know if they want their name revealed, but it was talking about the dates of why World Cross Country is January 10th, essentially. And I think initially World Athletics wanted to have it in like the 3rd week of December, like right after Eurocross. Do you know why it's not being held on that date in Tallahassee? Sort of late December, mid-December?
College football playoff?
Yes, it's because Florida State, when they were setting the date, maybe could have possibly, if they were in the playoff, hosted a home playoff game that weekend. Therefore, they did not want to also have the World Cross Country Championships in Tallahassee the same weekend. And that is why World Cross has been bumped out to January 10th, which is just, kind of a no man's land in terms of like big track events. I mean, not that December for the Americans actually would have been even worse. Like, I think you probably see some Americans backing off because they would have had to have the trials sometime in November. But I just found that really amusing that World Cross Country is being dictated to by Florida State's hypothetical college football playoff chances. Like on the...
Okay, I'm jumping in here. Couple of things. One, I want to applaud On. When their shoes weren't good enough, they let people run in different shoes. And now if athletes aren't training well, they let them go to different coaches, even though Dathan, they obviously support the OAC a ton, and that group has done amazingly well. I mean, they have, medals at Worlds, and hell, they have a gold medal. Like, I mean, it's crazy what that group has done. And Dathan's obviously doing good with some guys, but it's not going to work for everybody. Letting them leave is amazing. The other thing, like the fact the kid from Harvard won the NCAAs twice in a row while training in Boston.
Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about Graham Blanks or are you talking about Maya Ramsden? Because 2 Harvard kids did that.
Well, I was talking more of the cross country. That's actually pretty sick. And then also to the guy he beat, this Habtom Samuel thing last year with one shoe. Like that's nuts. Should we maybe even give him more credit? Like, if that was an American guy who somehow got second wearing one shoe, like you can't run with one shoe, and he ran a long way with one shoe.
Well, and this is what I was wondering. I was thinking to myself, is this the most impressive thing I've ever seen, or is the fact that he actually was able to finish second with one shoe? Does that mean it actually wasn't that hard wasn't as hard as we think? Because if it was hard, like he just wouldn't have been able to do it at all. So it really was hard for me to judge. Like, should I be blown away?
Yeah,
Or
should be blown away. Blown away. So, by the way, while Weldon was talking, those of you watching the live stream, I was flying the Let'sRun.com flag here. By the way, if anyone, I got a new flagpole that goes really high this year. So if anyone wants to carry it tomorrow, because last year we brought in an agent from Europe. First year to have the flag, he did a good job, but he couldn't make it back. So let us know if anybody wants to carry the flag. We'll give you a free shirt. I didn't have a stake though to put it behind me today. We have the American flag right there. But yeah, that's basically boots on the ground. Anybody in the comments? Any questions? Weldon, any questions? I'm trying to think what else we learned. Lots of stuff. We talked to Vin Lanana yesterday. That's the one interview we're going to actually upload to YouTube. So Gary, I'm very excited about Rocky Hansen. Gary Martin is really helped build that UVA program back. He's kind of the first group of recruits for Vin, and those guys are young. They're all seniors now, and they have a good chance of being on the podium. I know someone asked earlier, like a long shot team to be in the top 10. I guess we could look that up.
Well, one thing that surprised me, Gary is saying, yeah, tomorrow it's my final cross-country race. I'm like, wait, you just got to the NCAA. Where are you going? Like, it is a reminder, sometimes there are athletes who just complete their 4 years of eligibility in 4 years. And it's becoming rarer and rarer. But Gary Martin has been at Virginia for 4 years. He hasn't transferred anywhere. He's run all 4 seasons of cross country, and this will be his final race as a 4th-year senior. So I was just like, wow, that's actually, your career can go quite fast if you just run all 4 seasons, but it's quite rare for that to happen.
We got, I'm making teams outside the top 10. That could be top 10. Princeton's 8 team, my alma mater. I don't think they're getting top 10.
Oh, one guy I wanted to throw, actually we talked about him earlier today, Valentin Soka from Cal Baptist by way of Uruguay. He was a world championship finalist in the 5K this year, and I feel like we've just ignored him. He's run like 13-13, I think, for 5K. And we didn't include him in the prediction contest for top 3, but he was about 17th at regionals. I'm like, oh, did he just not run well? Like, is he not good this year? He's been running okay. I think he just knew they were in qualifying position, most likely, and he didn't need to go all out. But I am curious what he does. I mean, he ran at Worlds in September, but you make the final at the 5,000 meters of the World Championships, you're going to do pretty well at World Cross Country, NCAA Cross Country, right, Robert?
Yeah, but Rocky Hansen's faster than that. I'm going to be on cloud 9 when Rocky takes this thing down tomorrow and Jane Hedengren crushes the field.
A 19 and a 20-year-old American winning NCAA cross titles in the same day, that would be pretty wild.
Oh, by the way, Brian Musal did say, he's like, there was nothing wrong with me in regionals when I was 17th. I was just chilling. So.
At JG, did I run the course? I did. I only ran 8K. I didn't do the full 10K, but there's a 2K loop and a 3K loop. It's fairly simple. And I did the 3K loop twice and the 2K loop once. So
we were going sub 9 pace, folks. Sub 9 pace with me. It was great yesterday. It's extremely soggy today. Like, we didn't run it today, but we've been just walking around the course trying to get some interviews. Like and I was trying not to avoid any puddle that I could see. And my shoes got totally socked. My wife's socks totally wet. We had to go back to the house, change socks and shoes before we stood out here now. But again, I think it's gonna. It's not really gonna rain tonight. I think it's gonna
worse conditions for NCAA cross.
Oh, of course,
yeah,
way worse.
This is like, I think it'll be fine. Okay, is there any dirt or all grass? It's pretty much all grass. I mean, there's a couple muddy sections. There is a pond that's right. They run by on the course. It looks quite striking if it's sunny. She really hasn't been for our entire trip here in Missouri.
It's all grass. I would describe it as like, I mean, it's a beautiful, it's like almost like a fairway. It's
Shalane Flanagan called it the nicest NCAA cross country course she's ever seen. So, and she's been to a lot of them.
I've been having a fun time. We got some tips from the insiders of where to go.
Oh yeah, the barbecue place.
Missouri, it's cool. They have a football stadium like right on campus. The barbecue place. We're headed.
That's not that crazy, but I have liked Columbia so far. Good pizza last night. Looking forward to meeting some supporters club members pretty soon. We've got a Let's Run fan actually has just been watching us off screen for the last 15 minutes or so. So hopefully, he didn't even have to pay for this. So hopefully, well, he actually flew. I think he flew his way out here on his own dime. So maybe he had to pay for that, but hopefully he's enjoyed the show. Robert, anything else? Any final thought before we sign off and meet? You know, we're 16 hours away from race time.
After it ends, folks, 1 p.m. Eastern, right? 1 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna go live. So we're gonna do interviews for about an hour and a half. Then we're gonna come back on live, and then write up our articles and head back. So we'll see you tomorrow at 1. Thanks for joining us. Until then.
Wait. You guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to put up the results of the prediction contest. Get your
good.
Yeah, if you
haven't
picks
entered the
in.
prediction contest, it's a free
Trying
contest.
to make a graphic here. I almost had it done here.
Oh, by the way, we want to thank our benefactor Elon for the Starlink satellite that made this possible.
Let's see here.
You got to break in earlier, Weldon. If you got like poll results you want to reveal, you can't have me do the sign off and then keep the podcast going. I feel like I've given everyone blue balls here.
Okay, my apologies for that. Here they are. He's have to talk for a second till I make the women's one. Of course,
Okay, well, we got to
now saying it's taking too long to upload. I don't know. Second. Oops, that's the wrong button.
He's running tomorrow. Wow.
Kipchoge is
the World Tour has begun.
With
Columbia,
NIL,
Missouri.
he's eligible. He'll be running for BYU though, so it'll be interesting because of the age thing.
Wow. So Weldon just put the prediction contest picks on the board. 85% have picked Jane Hedengren to win. 13% have picked 13.6% Doris Lemgole. 0.7% for Angelina Napoleon and Grace Hartman. And 56.5% have picked NC State, 39.5% BYU, 2.7% Oregon, and 1.4% for New Mexico for the women. Interesting results there. All right, let's see the men.
Well, we got to stall for a second because the men are coming.
I'm surprised. I guess part of me surprised that Hedengren's such a big favorite in the prediction contest, but also it's mostly Americans picking, and we have been talking about her a lot more than Doris Lemgole, who, you know, ran at the World Championships. I guess Lemgole's only run 2 or 3 races herself. It's not like she's had this full season of domination, but yeah, I'm a little surprised there.
Somebody in the live chat wants to know if Weldon made that graphic in ChatGPT. Yes, Weldon is obsessed with ChatGPT, unfortunately.
Weldon is. On our drive from St. Louis to here, I think Robert asked ChatGPT 10 different questions on our drive over. I was so surprised how reliant. Anytime Robert wants something, he doesn't look it up in his phone.
I was driving a car. I posted it. Well, I asked ChatGPT for the reputation of the esteemed journalist Jonathan Gold of Let's Run.com, and it said some things. And then I asked what were the odds that, well, won't say. Anyways,
yeah. ChatGPT. I've never used ChatGPT, so my experience learning about this is everything's a complicated topic, and there's there's some nuance on every topic that we ask.
83% of fans have picked Oklahoma State, 12.2% Iowa State, 4.1% Syracuse, 0.7% for Syracuse. Brian Bell. I do think that if you're shooting for the first predominantly American team on the men's side, it's definitely going to be the Syracuse. Well, I guess it's going to be Syracuse or Virginia, but they were extremely close at ACCs. I'd probably give the edge to, again, Virginia won there, and they have Willow Stick and Gary Martin. I would give them the edge here. And then Habtom Samuel is getting 68.7%. Brian Musau, 13.6%. Rocky Hansen, 10.9%. Calvin Sherrod of Florida, 2%. Everybody else is below 1%. So should be fun. Can't wait. Big race. Go, Jane. Go. See Jane run. And
the only bad thing about it is it's happening at the same time as Brighton versus Brentford tomorrow morning. So we'll have to miss the Premier League for NCAA Cross Country. It's the sacrifice I make once a year.
I mean, you can probably watch it on your phone, right? Dave Smith is a coach, and anyone who's coached can sort of relate to this. I think he's like, this is the worst 24 hours of the year. Like, you just want it to be, I just want it to be over with. And then I'm like, and I'll just come to the press conference to waste time. And he's like, and that answer took 1 minute, so I'm 1 minute closer to being over. Like, he's just very nervous wreck. So good to see him here, though. He's been in the hospital. This is a fun fact here, folks. He's had a long, like 30-year fearing of dying of asphyxiation from choking on broccoli.
Doesn't sound like a fun fact to me.
Because when he was a kid, he was growing up in the Seattle area, and the Seattle football coach's wife or something like got choked on some broccoli and then ended up dying like weeks or months later because of it somehow, like some sort of bacterial infection. So he was recently with a recruit eating broccoli, and he was kind of afraid that this was happening to him. So he like tried to cough it up, but then he closed his mouth or something and he collapsed his lungs. So it was the fear of dying of this thing that almost did kill him. So he's here, though.
That's a Greek tragedy right there. But thankfully, he's alive with us. He will be at the course tomorrow.
Jane, if you're listening with your dad in the hotel room right now, you want to relax. Relax fast. Don't fear the win. Be excited. As your coach, Diljit Taylor, says, you should be jumping out of bed. You're training so well. So.
And if you're watching live on YouTube now and you try to rewind to go to the beginning, there's another video, but we'll upload this whole thing so you can just watch it at one go, or it's on X. And guys, I'm curious, like we had the wrong portrait up, but you guys brought lights to the course. It's now dark there. I'm impressed. Like, what are you guys using for lights? Like, you have a tripod? Like, that part actually turned out pretty well. I had you muted, Robert, so tell me what's going on.
It's only taken how many years, but I finally came prepared. Last year, like 5 minutes before we were going to go live, I made John drive me to a Best Buy to buy a Starlink. I didn't even know how to set it up, and it didn't work. And this year, I brought everything out. I decided to bring the lights. John told me that the sun set at 4:47. I'm like, it might get dark. So
yeah, we got a bit of a glare now, but we look all right. Okay, thanks everyone for tuning in. Let'sRun.com/subscribe. Join the Supporters Club. If you're listening right now, you like what you hear, we do this every Friday, often from a big event like NCAA Cross. And if you can't catch it live, we deliver it right into your podcast feed.
And even if you're not a Supporters Club member, you can meet us at the
Logboat Brewery. Robert, one day you're going to remember one of these things.
Logboat Brewery, 8 p.m. We just mean we won't buy you a beer. Supporters Club members get free beer. All right, talk to you later. Good night.